You're watching Talking About Orks.
In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over real quick the new FAQ released July 11th. That's version 1.1 of the Ork FAQs. And there's a couple pretty significant things in there that we need to just cover real quick. First and foremost is that the KFF was finally, once and for all, clarified as a 4+. There was a lot of people argued that it was only a 5+ on vehicles, saying that the 5+ that is listed in the codex is specified, while everyone else realized that it's not. So that's finally put to rest. If you've ever had that argument, which I have had a lot. Then there is the biggest change, of course, is to the WA rule, which is actually errated. Just to be that it only can be used at the beginning of your shooting phase, which is actually quite a noticeable nerf as far as I'm concerned, because it really does affect those of us who weren't abusing the rules, trying to run first, see how far you rolled, and then decide to declare WA. But it does really hurt the ability to shoot things to see if it's worth declaring a WA with your assault units first. Which is what I always did, but I never tried to run before declaring the WA. So I think they could have worded that differently, using instead saying anything that's already run before you declare it, it doesn't gain the fleet rule. So only things that run afterwards. I think that would have been a lot more, I don't want to say fair, but I think it would be more appropriate, especially considering for those of us who never did abuse the rules. So you got to remember that you have to declare your WA at the start of your shooting phase before you do anything else. So that kind of sucks. Now there's really not much of a debate, because I always thought that it was really supported by Raw, but I just never did it because it seemed kind of douchebaggery. And that's to add a second independent character, or to add an independent character to Snickrot's unit to ambush. And apparently that's perfectly fine. They don't have a problem with that, even if that independent character is on a bike. So you can throw your biker boss in with Snickrot to ambush. Remember, you can't leave the unit they come in from reserve. That's expressly prohibited in the main rules. But you can join the biker boss to Snickrot, and that really changes the dynamic of that unit quite a bit. So depending on who I'm playing, I might just do that in my main list. Definitely gives me a little more flexibility than I had before. So it's something I will consider doing now that it's specifically permissible with the new facts. Because I do play a biker boss and Snickrot in my primary meta denial list. So yeah, that should be interesting. I'm going to hold Snickrot in reserve, and he's going to be joined by the war boss. Yeah. It doesn't sound like very much fun for my opponent. Of course, it totally depends on who I'm playing. Something like Dark Eldar, we're just going to be scooting around anyway. It doesn't really matter. But something that's in an army that has any form of static gun line or fire base is just going to be just devastating. Make wolf scouts look like grots coming in. There's so much multi-charge possibilities there. And in addition to that, you can have on the same vein is the fact that Snickrot and Zagstruck don't count towards your unit's model limit. I always thought it would, but it doesn't. So you can have a unit of 16 commandos or 21 Stormboys if you include Snickrot and Zagstruck. And what I not mean by that, an extra model is an extra model. That's one less wound to take before you start losing your leadership and mob rule. And with a war boss hack, you can run 2 independent characters combined with Snickrot, So you can have an 18 model commando unit, and if you spread them out along the table edge, that's a massive multi-assault. I take a biker boss and Gazgul. That would be mean. Of course, it means giving up the KFF, but I don't know if I could do that. Yeah. But still, the potential is there, and it's all perfectly legal and covered in the facts. So I'm definitely going to be working on my Storm Boys probably sooner than later, redoing that whole unit. See, it was the KFF, the mob sizes, the Snickrot thing. Let's see if there are any other changes I need to talk about. So some other cool points they clarified. They clarified that a Duff Roller cannot be taken out by a weapon destroyed. That's kind of nice that they went with that ruling. Same with the Wrecking Ball, cannot be taken out by a weapon destroyed. So you get to keep your Duff Rollers. The Grot Riggers get to keep fixing the immobilized. So that was really nice to end that argument. And there were some clarifications on the big bombs, which I might actually consider start using if I ever take Coptas again, just because they provide that nice little anti-infantry punch. I would sacrifice a Copter to kill a couple Grey Knight Terminators if I got the chance, and pin them since it's barrage. That would be awesome. I don't know if it's going to actually happen, but what the heck. You gotta remember the big bomb has its own scatter rules, so it doesn't scatter that far. It only scatters 1d6 without subtracting the ballistic skill. And they made a couple clarifications for boarding planks, and that's so you can shoot something and still assault with the boarding plank, which I thought was kind of cool. So you can roll up with a vehicle, shoot one unit, and boarding plank another one. And that what was the other one with the boarding plank? Oh yeah, a walker cannot fight back against a model because that gets that assaults it with the boarding plank. So I'm still going to be hitting the front armor because it's a walker. At least I would assume so. That should be pretty much a no-brainer, but at least it can't fight back. So get that knob or war boss out of there and start boarding plank up those vehicles. Let's see. Clarified the grots. Clarified attack squig. That's about it. They really clarified a few things which I would consider to be no-brainers, and made a couple really big changes. One big change to the WA, and they took care of the independent character with Snickrot thing, which I don't personally think would ever be fun to do, but orcs are getting long in the tooth. There's not going to be many surprises for your opponent with orcs, and so you're pretty much going to have to take whatever advantage you can get. So they got rid of one major advantage, which was the claw on the wall during the shooting phase, and added the clarification on the independent characters and Snickrot. So with the Art Boys coming up, you guys might want to build a list around the bad boy Gazgul coming in with Snickrot. At least I would if I was playing in it. So that's about all we're going to cover in this issue of Talking About Orcs, and there will be more to come. I am working on videos for both the Dark Eldar and Grey Knight codices. So there's going to be a lot to talk about with both of those. So thanks for watching.